here we are. Yeah, so we got Ian Wallace with us. And I think I've been knowing Ian for quite a while now, a few years now, isn't it, Ian?
Yeah, definitely a few years.
Definitely a few years, yeah. And I think he has been helping me a number of the property that being able to adding a bedroom without the need of having a building consent, right? Okay, so I'll probably just go to let Ian. Some of you probably already met Ian now. So I'll probably just let Ian to take over, and perhaps you can. I think you used to work for Auckland Council for I don't know how many years. Yeah. Okay, so you understand.
Yeah, I'm a carpenter by trade, but I worked for the old Auckland City Council for 20 odd years as a senior building inspector. I left Auckland in 2000 and have been out on my own as a building consultant. Sort of started doing the pre-purchase inspection type thing, and then build up a clientele. And now I don't live in Auckland anymore. I still have the business up there. I'm still open to emails and video links and that sort of thing. I don't need to be in Auckland. COVID's taught me that. But these days I'm doing more on helping clients through with historic building consents that haven't got code compliance certificates, and the banks are being a bit more they're wanting the paperwork tidied up before they lend to a buyer. And the other thing, the Building Act's changed over the years. There's a lot more people can do that doesn't require a building consent. Still has to be built in accordance with the building code. Some of the work has to be done by licensed building practitioners or LPBs, but technically you don't need a building consent. So with Auckland, well, various councils deals with exempt work different ways. Auckland City basically say you've got to make as owner, make your inquiries and make an informed decision as to whether consent's required or not. With Auckland City, they do have a thing called a record of exempt building work, so that there is a process in which you can record that exempt work. It goes onto the council's property file. There's a lodgement fee. And as I say, it's recorded on the property file. These things don't appear on LIM reports because they're not deemed a formal application like a building consent or a certificate of acceptance. I certainly, as I say, there's no mandatory requirement for the report to be lodged with council. I certainly would strongly recommend to my clients that they go through that process. One, it covers them in the sense that they have made the inquiry by an appropriately qualified person. Two, you can get the certificates from the tradespeople that do your work. And we can include them in the report. So it makes a nice little package deal, the application, the report, an as-built floor plan and the certificates. I provide you a PDF file for your records. This way, you've got something to cover yourself in the future if you go to sell, so that you don't get into the situation of a buyer's professional consultant saying, yeah, it should have had a building consent, therefore it's subject to a certificate of acceptance or a COA. Or if you have the property tenanted, you've got that paper trail for your property manager so that you can correctly rent it out as a 2, 3, 4 bedroom or whatever the work was to modify it. What I've been doing with Lucia in the past is looking at ways of how to create enough space or add a bedroom seems to be the better added value. The biggest struggle with those is depending on the age of the building. Your older villas up to the 1960s, most of your internal walls will be both load-bearing and bracing walls. So basically the Building Act says if it's either a bracing wall or a load-bearing wall, or one or the other or both, that's not exempt. After the 1960s, you start coming into houses that have the roof spanning from exterior wall to exterior wall. So the internal walls then become non-load bearing. So the next thing we've got to look at is trying to ascertain whether they would be a bracing wall. The older ones, it's more through experience and assessment on my behalf as to the potential that, a wall you want to move might be a bracing wall in my experience. Then you get down to the situation of possibly taking the lining off one side to confirm it, whether it is bracing or not. If we confirm it isn't, then we can go through with our process of that exempt building work. The more modern houses from sort of 1980 onwards, the council's property file will have a thing called a bracing sheet or a bracing calculation sheet, or some of the plans will actually detail what type of brace, where it is in the building. So the newer stuff becomes, in theory, easier to determine whether in fact the house has been built as per the approved plan. Sometimes you can find that there's been minor variations on site during construction, but nothing reflected in the council site. But we can do a bit of creative accounting from that side of things. Basically, I'm quite happy to, if we can get a copy of the property file, it sort of confirms the history in the drawing. Some of the older ones will be little or nothing. In purchasing the properties, a lot of the marketing plans, I have a quick look at that. Have a look at some of the photos, aerial photos, just to get a feeling of the construction type layout, and just, as I say, comes down to a gut feeling as to what, in my experience, I would find. Some of my clients, when they're looking at a property, will use that marketing plan and sketch it up to give us an idea of some of their design things, so I can comment on that. And, basically it's just coming up with an agreed approach as to what work will be done and what won't be done. If there's changes made during construction, then we definitely need to come into that agreement before getting to the end, because if there's some work done that should have had a building consent, then I can't do a report and cover it that way. Professionally and ethically, I can't do that. The other one that people are looking at is relocation of kitchen facilities. Again, in principle, the sink, pipe work, waste pipes, all that, relocation of that doesn't require a building consent, because you're not, the exemption says so long as you're not adding any additional sanitary fixtures, whether it be a toilet, shower, hand basin, any of those, so long as you're not increasing the overall number of sanitary fixtures in a dwelling, then you can move it, change it without a building consent, so long as a registered plumber is doing the work. The other creative side of things, some of the older houses have a bath with a shower over. If you read the handbook on exempt building work, they deem that as 2 sanitary fixtures. They don't talk about the waste pipe outlet. They talk about 2 sanitary fixtures, a shower and a toilet. So a shower and a bath. So some clients will take the bath out, put in an acrylic shower, and that gives them a credit of 1 sanitary fixture. And they sometimes, with a household, they're looking for an additional toilet. That gives us a credit of 1 sanitary fixture, and if you got the room, you could fit that into the laundry or something along those lines. With cost-wise, from my side of things, at the moment, council's fees will go up on the 1st of July as normal, but at the moment, the record of exempt building works $253. Depending on the drawings, they can be, I've got, if you haven't got access to a draftsman, I work with a guy in Auckland that I've known. He was one of my building inspectors years ago. He's out doing his drafting, so we've got a good symbiotic relationship there. But depending on the size of the house, that as-built could be $600 to $800. And my report, lodgement, and the pre-discussions, my side of things sort of around $1,000. So you're looking $2,000, $2,100 all up to get that onto the council's property file. And it's certainly time-wise, you lead in for a building consent. If you're going through your draftsman, you got the, they may be picking up more now, but I'd say you'd be sort of a month to get your drawings out of your draftsman. Council will say 20 working days for the processing of that building consent. And cost-wise, you've got to be, your full set of drawings for whatever you work. In council's fees, you've got to be at least $6,000 for something simple, versus if we can do it as a record of exempt building work, 2,000, and time-wise, a week to get agreement and some thoughts together, and then you lead in. Again, if you get early access to a property, then that can help out as well as in timeframes as well. From my side of things, once as-built plan's done, I can, if you come back to me with the as-built and the letter of authority and all this sort of thing, I can get that finished off into council within a working week and emailed through. Council does not formally acknowledge or process these what they call third-party reports. It's all electronic acknowledgement of the fee. I include that with the documentation. So it's a copy of the application, my report, all the documentation we put in together with it. So it's a package deal of everything that's actually gone into council. Being electronic, I would expect that that should go on the property file straight away. I have had some instances where someone 12 months later, this was a while ago, where it was still done manually. The report hadn't appeared on the property file, so I basically told the clients, well, we've got the electronic version of it, print that off, go in and show the council and get them to put it on the property file. It's not our problem, we've supplied it. So yeah, I'm open to brain picking. At the moment, I'm working on a casual contract with the local council down here and their building side of things. So I've got a mixture. Normally, I'm just looking and clearing my emails in the evening or talking to people in the evening. I work on weekends as well, so to a point, I'm accessible. But that's a very brief summary. But as I say, you can build verandas up to 30 square meters. outbuildings, sleep outs, and a hell of a lot more as exempt work. The biggest thing I find with exempt work, people, or lay people, tend to pull out what they want out of the exemption and not looking at the bigger picture. And that's part of what my side of things is, to keep them, in the correct vein of what the exemption actually means. If you've got a bit of spare reading time, MB, Ministry of Building, Industry and Innovation, has a good handbook on exempt building work. It gives examples of what's exempt, or generic examples. I use that as a way of trying to get my head around some of the more technical side of things. There's other ways, if we're pushing the bounds. There is things called determinations, where councils told an owner they should have had a building consent, and the owners said no, it's exempt work. Council disagrees, and they go to MB for a determination, saying they look at the legal side of things and either agree with one or the other and make that decision. So there's a lot of those determinations that we can, I can use to formalise more tricky or challenging sides of things. But yeah, no, that's about a quick summary. But yeah, same thing with historic building consents. I get a lot of that, helping people through that process with the application, rather than these big black holes that you put an email into, info at Auckland City, and something comes out 2 or 3 weeks later. I've got a pretty good hand on process times, what's sort of normal, and how to escalate that if need be. But yeah, not any questions. I'm quite happy.
Yeah, I think I might actually just share one of the project that we did, and so I will be sharing my screen, so you kind of have an understanding of what documents that Ian's going to put together, and also like what can you do with that. Yeah, okay. So that might be a bit of fun, I guess. Yeah, but anyway, you can just unmute yourself. If you've got any questions, just unmute yourself, and then you can actually just let us know what's your questions. Yeah, because we're particularly doing on the Google Meet, so we can actually share your question together. I think you should be able to see this. Yeah, so this is actually one of the property that I think I purchased it 2 years ago. Okay.
Oh goodness.
Oh, I think Ian, you've been to that side there, that carbon.
Yeah, that's the units in Carbon Road, isn't it?
Oh yes, yeah. That's
yeah.
So literally was like when I was purchasing this property. I think some of you probably actually been to the project tour and probably actually seen the site. Seen the condition of the.
They were still occupied when you were buying them, weren't they?
Yeah. I think that there were tenants living there. Yes, yeah. So that literally is the condition that when I bought this property, and I remember the agent at that time was really cautious about who he wanted to sell to, because I think obviously he doesn't want to sell to the first home buyers, because he might get a complaint about us. Yeah. So I think he was quite picking of that one who he want to sell to. But anyway, that's actually the one you've seen is actually the ceiling, and this is actually the bathroom. And that's I think this one we didn't. I don't believe that we actually adding another toilet.
No.
But I think this one we can, yeah, because just now Ian was talking about if you actually have a shower on top of the bath, on top of the bath, you can actually remove this bath, and then you can actually have an additional new toilet without having a building consent, right? Okay, so just remember this one. Yeah, okay.
The only other trick on that is that if you put a shower back in, it's got to be an acrylic tray and wall lining. If you're going to a tiled situation, whether it's an acrylic tray and tiles on the wall, as soon as you're relying on a waterproof membrane, that becomes consentable work on its own.
Yeah,
Even though,
yeah.
you know, if you're replacing an acrylic shower with a tiled shower, technically that requires a building consent.
So I think you can see, you know, this one is not tiled. So Ian was talking about it. If you decided to actually tile the whole thing, then that's actually a consented work. But that will be another session we can run through that, because that one is you can using the what's it, a certificate of acceptance. That's actually another building inspector called Steve, and he's specializing in that field. It's basically if you want to change those acrylic, you know, shower to tile, because with a tile it look more modern, and you know, it does add you know, a bit more value there. Okay, yeah, but you can tell that this one is you can see that it's actually got that's a bus, right? The tap here. I don't know if you can see my, you know, the mouse is moving around. Yeah, okay. And then you can see another one here. This is actually for the shower. But because this unit is really small, I think would be only like 50 something square meter, like just one bedroom unit. So in this case, we didn't adding additional toilet. We cannot leave, you know, leave it as it is. Yeah, okay. And what's the next photo? I can't even remember where did I take, where this photo was taken.
Oh, that's
that might be
equivalent of a bath in the
it will
the
be
floor.
was it a bathroom floor or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's literally, that's a ceiling. Yeah. So it's literally it's really run down property. Yeah. And unfortunately the landlords, it hasn't been looked after the property like this. Yeah. So that's actually the laundry area.
Some of the laundries we brought into the kitchen or moved that to give a bigger area in the bathroom. One of them we amalgamated the bath and laundry. The toilet was separate. We took some of those walls out and made one large area, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to see whether I can. I probably don't have the old property file, but I can show you the new plan. Can you see this one? Which one is the unit 1? Oh, that's unit 1. Okay, so this one is unit 1, and that's unit 2 here, and that's unit 3. Okay, that's unit 3. Yeah. So if we're looking at unit 1, because the photo I was showing you is unit 1.
We actually got an extra bedroom in unit 1.
Yes. Yeah. So the bedroom 2 used to be the bathroom. You know, the bathroom I just showing you all those photos. Yeah, it was a really horrible bathroom. Yeah, and we actually moved the bathroom to where. What was this? It was a hot water cylinder.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, quite a large area. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it might be a hot water cylinder in the laundry area or something. So we actually moved that you know, the bathroom to the space here. So you can see, I don't know whether you can see here. Yeah. So you can see here is a bathroom and literally just a shower and then a basin. We keep the existing toilet. You know, we didn't change the toilet apart from just I think all we did was actually just like you know, just change to a new toilet. Yeah. But the bedroom 2, that was the photo I was showing you. You know, this area. So that's actually the and we actually this is the area we actually make it to a bathroom.
That's
right.
Yep.
Yeah, and then where the bathroom is, we converted to a bedroom 2 here. And I think there's a requirement there is the width, because the minimum had to be.
Yeah, under the Building Act, they don't talk about a minimum size of a bedroom or a habitable space. There was a ruling by the Real Estate Institute that referred back, because some of them were trying to market things that were unreasonably small to be able to be called a bedroom. So they sent out a ruling saying that for real estate agents that the old housing improvement regulations, the minimum size specified in there would be the minimum required to be able to call it a bedroom. So under those regulations, it's got to have a minimum width of 1.8 metres and a minimum floor area in total of 6 square metres. So that meets that minimum floor area. A bathroom is part of the habitable space of the original unit, so it's not a change of use. And so we got that through on that using the existing window. I think it might have been obscure, and you changed it to plain glass to give the visual awareness for the bedroom out the existing window. The new bathroom, that was all mechanically ventilated to the outside to comply with the building code. And we either relocated the kitchen or put a new kitchen in the kitchen dining area. So what was a 1-bedroom unit became a 2-bedroom unit, and now recorded on the council's property file as 2-bedroom. And with the rental manager has evidence that Lucia can rent it as a legal 2-bedroom unit. And that, the record's there to cover any challenges by future tenants.
So I think you covered the minimum is a 6 square meter, and also there's a width here. The minimum had to be 1.8 meter. Yeah. Okay. So just remember all those numbers, because if you are looking like, oh, can I actually adding another bedroom here, converted space? Just remember there's a minimum requirement of square meter, 6 meter, and also the width is 1.8 meter. And I think the window size is like what was that, like 10%?
Yeah, minimum of 10% of the floor area for natural light or glazing, and half of that or 5% for opening window. And in New Zealand, they require those window sills to be no more than, I think, 1.5 or something above the floor area. We don't allow roof lights as a means of compliance for visual awareness. So any required window's got to be on a vertical face. If you want to put a roof light or a skylight in, that's fine, but that's over and above the minimum requirement for that room.
Yeah. Okay. So let me know if we can continue looking at those horrible photos if you want to. It was just terrible. That's actually holes on the ground. Yeah. Okay. So this is actually the it's just at that time it was the condition that we bought this property. Yeah. Okay. I think that's actually the
bedroom.
Lounge. Yeah. Is it a bedroom or lounge?
No, that's the bedroom.
Oh, that's a bedroom. Okay.
And that little recess is where the toilet is.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So that's actually where the toilet. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's when you come in. That's actually the lounge. Yeah. Okay. And so you can see that's unit 1 in the front, and then unit 2, and then also the unit 3. Unit 3 is
bigger one.
When I bought it, it's 2 bedroom, so we converted to 3 bedroom. Yeah. Okay. So that's that. This one is actually for the that's a before photo, and then I can show you the after photo. It's actually just the whole transformation. Yeah. This might be the unit. What is the unit 3 one?
Yeah.
I think this might be the unit 3. It's quite spacious. Yeah.
And in this particular case, I actually met Lucia, and we had a walk through with the builder on a hands-on, and made some decisions there on site.
Yeah. So it's important that before you're going to do anything, having Ian to walk through with the builder, because like builder might have an idea of that, like want to do this, but Ian might say, hey, hold on a minute, I think that's a low bearing wall. We can, we won't be able to remove it or something. Yeah. And so it's, you do the actually like, you need Ian to work through with the builder, and then they can come to the agreement, right? And then builder can go ahead doing it. And then after that, so I will show you after that, what do you need? Yeah, okay. So here, this one is all the just the after, I think that's actually the unit 1 and unit 2's the bathroom. So you can see it's really compact. Like I think we see that in our drawing here, right? It's really compact, just a basin and also just a shower here. Yeah, as a shower, yeah, here. Okay, and because it's not tiled, basically I just buy the I mean the builder actually they just bought those like a shower box. So it's pretty easy. They just, fit into that spot. Yeah. So it's not like a tiled one. And so that's actually the unit 1 and unit 2's the kitchen space. So it's quite compact, with this that, you can, I think here's for the
dishwasher or laundry.
It might be a laundry, yeah. I can't remember, yeah. Oh, it could be a laundry. And here is actually the dishwasher. Yeah, here's dishwasher and here's laundry. I think it's like that, yeah. Okay, because we actually remove the laundry area to bathroom. And then the bathroom become the additional bedroom, yeah, okay. So this is actually just after the renovation. So in the living area, we normally just like, because usually that you have these sides like the carpet. But actually in the living space is better you just using those laminate one, and they're pretty cheap anyway. I mean per square meter is like $50-something or something. So it's yeah, so that's actually the one we did. And I think each unit the renovation cost might be 45 grand or I can't remember how much. Yeah, so it's actually not that expensive, like, and when you look at it, it's like brand new. Yeah. And then I'm going to show you the paperwork, what we need, in terms of the paperwork. So this one is actually the the draftsperson will have to do a as-built layout plan. Yeah, so that's Ian's friend. Yeah. So Peter actually just drew up this plan. I don't know how much cost that would be. Really depends. I think depends on the space.
This one was a bigger one. So some of the 3-bedroom houses are sort of $800. So, but I wouldn't say it'd be 3 times 800 for it because it's all charged on time. But you're probably looking maybe $1,600 for that 3-unit development. I'm guessing.
Oh, I can't remember. I can dig it out. The invoice would be somewhere. Yeah. Yeah. But it's I had to rotate this back now, I think. Okay. So those just all the paperwork, like Ian put together. So you can see Ian will put together this document and send it to the council. You receive a copy as well. So record of the exempt building work. And so Ian will helping you to actually complete this form. Okay, so you don't need to worry about this. Yeah. And
that's the automated acknowledgement from council's system, so that they've got documents and the fee.
Yeah, so the fee is $253. Yeah, okay. And then
that's the electronic application that I print off after it goes into the system. Yeah.
And then you also like, so you will need to provide this one, the copy of the title. Yeah. And, if it's you don't have it, I'm happy to helping you because I think on the relay we order it's only $6, to get a copy.
Yeah, you can go through Lynn's. They now 24/7 for $6, and that comes through in about 5 seconds after you pay the transaction.
Yeah. So the copy of the title. And this one just the authority, it's an authority form. So
for me to lodge on your behalf. Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's your report, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean that's the report that Ian will prepare.
And they'll basically go through each element of exempt work, describing what was done and what section of the Schedule 1 it's exempt. And then at the end, attaching the documentation from the tradespeople. I just think it's a good product to have those certificates as part of the report, to say, well, I'm saying it's exempt, but we've had a licensed building practitioner or a registered plumber or electrician do the work, and here's evidence of that. It's a good package to be there on file to cover the owner.
Yeah, so you can see the detail here. It's actually quite thorough written, like what's been changed. So this one is the installation of the internal partition to form the new bathroom. The relocation of the bathroom, sanitary features. So Ian will write those one for you. Okay. And then this one was the draws person. They will come out after.
It's the as-built.
Work. Yeah, yeah. And then he will come up. Usually, ideally, if you want to book him, maybe like a week ahead or something. Yeah. Yeah. So he's actually available to actually come and do
the work doesn't have to be finished, but you need to be aware of your layout of your kitchen fittings and that sort of thing. He's not interested in decoration. It's the physical measurement, so you can get him ahead of the project being finished, and then we can, he can get that drawing done and into me, and then all we're waiting for is the certificates from your tradespeople at the end, and bang, a week after that we're finished.
Yeah. And what's this one? Oh, this one's an electric certificate. Yeah. So I did keep saying to you guys that every time when you do a renovation, make sure that you do have those like producer statements. Yeah. So electricians one, you have, because this one is like 3 units. Yeah. So you can see it's like 3 certificate here, and this one's for the plumbing one. Again, it would be like 3 copies as well. Yeah. Okay. So basically, that's all. Ian will just put those together, and then that's actually the one that was sent to council, and also you get a copy of that. Yeah. Great. Any questions? Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, not curiosity, I've found sort of the last 6 months have been quiet, if you like, from my side of things work-wise. But I've just found in the last probably 6 to 8 weeks that I'm having a lot more inquiries from clients looking at doing things. So I'm finding that things are picking up in Auckland compared to the end of last year. So that's just my observation.
Yeah. Yeah, I think another thing is I keep saying like at the moment is probably the like the bottom, the market. So if some of you are in a position, it's actually a very good time to buy. Yeah. Trying to see if they got any new photos I can share with you. Yeah. I think that was probably the one that we were looking at. That's a Unit 3 one. That's outside. Oh, that's all. I think this is all after the rain now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Any questions from anybody? You guys are very quiet.
Yeah, I do have a question. Hey Ian, hey Lucia, thanks for this, and hey everybody else. I just wonder, Ian, have you done any 2-story additions to upstairs and downstairs?
Yeah, I can do anything. The biggest trick with if like these units were single story, concrete block wall, firewall between the two. So all our work and pipe work was done outside the line of that firewall. And if we're not touching that firewall, that's exempt work. If you're starting to, whether it be timber or block work, if you're starting to knock holes in and putting pipes through walls and all that sort of thing, you're automatically into requiring a building consent. So some of these block wall ones, they put a low false partition and run the waste pipes within that. If you're talking about a 2-story unit upstairs and downstairs, you don't need that fire separation between your floors horizontally, but if it's side-by-side units, then you would, once again, you would need to stay outside that firewall line to be able to keep that as exempt work. If you're going into some of these more modern 3-story units, then you'd be starting to look at means of escape and fire-rated doors and that sort of thing. So, again, you need to be we need to be aware of the environment we're working in, because it changes. But again, looking at some of, I was looking at a unit which was block work between firewalls and front and back. So, and a concrete floor between units, the upper floor. So all those partitions inside there were non-load bearing, non-fire rating. It was a very poor layout, but it was very restrictive in what could be done because of the cost of changing windows and external masonry block walls becomes pretty expensive in itself. So all he was looking at was it had a larger bathroom, so he was looking at moving the wall to get more space into the kitchen, and taking out one of the walls between the kitchen and the living dining room to give it a more modern flow, and include instead of a laundry cupboard, include the laundry within the bathroom area. So again, he was working within some very restricted or costly areas if he was looking at changing any of those external walls. Again, I've got another client that she does pretty major changes to some of the units she picks up, and changing external doors and windows, putting in French doors. All this work is exempt. There's other tricks in the trade that we need to look at, because playing with external cladding and joinery, that work needs to be done by a licensed building practitioner. That's another certificate we need at the end. With Pete, the draftsman, and with some of those, he comes up with a design for external wall bracing, beam sizes and that, so that we've got a record of that, and the builders building to that. So I sometimes find that builders are not happy to design something, they'll rather follow a plan. And again, if you've got some drawings of the work, it gives you something better to pass out to builders to get pricing on, rather than leave it to the individuals. It gives some consistency, well, should give consistency on that pricing side of things.
Thank you.
Great, yeah. Thank you, Ian. So I did found this photo. So this was previous, it's actually the bathroom, the one I just showed you. And it's actually become a second bedroom. Okay, so you can see it's just like transform the whole thing anyway. Okay. And I think the current rental 2-bedroom is a 520. And then the 3 bedrooms rented out for 640. Yeah, so it's quite a good rental return on this particular project here. Yeah.
Just another bit of useless information. The exempt work for insulation, you can do ceiling insulation, underfloor insulation, and put polythene on the ground as a vapor barrier, all without a building consent. But technically, if you're stripping out the old jib, because it's of the being very poor, and it's more economic to strip out and repaint. If you're considering putting insulation in the external walls of, like, these units would have been 1960s, they won't have insulation in. Insulation didn't become mandatory in New Zealand until 1977-78. So if you're wanting to put insulation in while your walls are unlined, the insulation in the external walls requires a building consent.
Oh, okay. Right,
But not
interesting.
for the ceilings and underfloor. So that's just one of the little tricks of the trade. Some of the other ones that I've had where people have got a unit with a attached garage, and they want to change that into a habitable space. Again, depending on the age of the building, putting the joinery in the garage opening, that's exempt work. The older units won't have polythene under the concrete floor, so it can't be called a habitable space. Some people do them up as utility rooms and rent them out as, what it's lawfully established, 2 bedrooms plus utility. If the tenant wants to put a child in there or use it for a habitable purpose, that's over to them, but you're not marketing it as illegal. But if you're changing some of the older ones to a habitable space for a bedroom, then you get caught up with the requirement for insulation in the external walls. And of course, once you have to put insulation in, then you need a building consent. So I've done one that the guy came to me after he had put he had an LPB do all the work for him. And I've done a record of exempt building work and described the room as a utility room. And now we've got that lodged with council, and now he's applying for a building consent to install the insulation. So the building consent will be to convert a utility room to 3rd bedroom and legalise it that way with the installation of the insulation. So in this particular case, I'm going to make the application on his behalf with the paperwork, rather than the insulation company, who I would say wouldn't be interested in the finite detail of converting a utility room to a habitable space and facing questions on that side of things. So I'm getting the insulation company to provide me with all their detail and putting the package together that way. And there's a little bit of a risk there, but the client's willing to, he wants to get as much money out of the development as possible, and this is the only way he could do it lawfully. He could have put the insulation in, but then without a building consent. But when he went to sell it, he couldn't put his hand on the heart and say he had all the appropriate approvals from council, and then would have to end up going through this thing called a certificate of acceptance. So a COA is like a reversed engineered building consent. So we can say we've done such and such, but if council can't see it, then they're not likely to approve it if they can't be satisfied on reasonable grounds. So don't do work knowingly it's should be consented, because you could shoot yourself in the foot long term. You could apply for your COA and get declined, and then that aspect of it ends up on the council's property file, as and on a future LIM report.
Great, thank you, Ian. Yeah. Any more questions? Otherwise, we're gonna closing off. Yeah.
I got a question.
Oh yeah.
I'm just curious. Is it Ian? Do you have any consultant service before we settle down on property? We can see the potential.
Yeah, look, I'm quite happy to take an email. Some of the agents will have the property file. They have an agent's floor plan. You can always send me the link, and I can have a look at that and have a look at the photos online. You could use their little floor plan to sketch up an idea that you might have of what your thoughts are, and we can talk to that. There was one that I had the other day that because of the age of the building, no matter where the client wanted to put the door, every bloody wall was a load-bearing wall. So even though the door might only be moved 150 millimeters, it still technically required a building consent. There was no, in my opinion, for the age, there was no simple way other than going for a building consent on it. So again, it's looking at the bigger picture. Sometimes I'm quite, depending on your time frames, I'm quite happy to maybe do a walkthrough, a video link, and have a look in a bit more detail if it needs sort of refining a bit more. Up to a point, I don't mind having the brain picked. But if you're doing this on several properties and not being successful, then I'd be starting to charge my time as an inquiry type thing. Normally, if it goes through, I just include that in my end costs for the report.
Cool. Thanks.
I think Ian has been quite helpful. Like if you send an email and with a property file, he was just helping you to actually navigate that through. Yeah.
No matter the real the condition of the property is like.
Not to worry about it. Ian doesn't care about the condition of property. I think all he cares is where's the load-bearing one. How many like a fixed sanitary here.
Some of it, might come down in the end, and like the units Lucia's talking about, they had a timber floor. So the critical thing on that was that if we were relocating their fittings, did we have enough fall or slope in the pipe to get from one side to where the outlets were on the other side of the building? If you've got a concrete floor and you're wanting to move sanitary fixtures to the other side of the building, then there's no way you can put your waste pipes in you don't want to put waste pipes in your concrete floor. Then you'll be looking at boxing in part of the wall to get your pipe sloping within the building to get to the other side. So there's some tricks like that. On paper it might be easy to say, yeah, we'll move X here over there, but the practice is how do we get the waste pipes or the water supply pipe to the new location of the fixtures. Some of the clients in the old sort of Neil home, 3-bedroom, 3 bedrooms up this end of the house, bathroom, laundry, kitchen, dining and lounge. They'll fit the kitchen over into the dining area and convert the kitchen area into the 4th bedroom, something like that. That again is not a change of use, but there's some tricks, bench heights with existing windows. Sometimes you've got to put some false material behind your kitchen fitting so you can't see it from the through the window from the outside, that sort of thing.
I think you just mentioned about a concrete wall, and I just remember, we did another one. It was concrete wall, isn't it?
Yeah.
That one. So I just trying to find this one. I think a number of you actually been to this.
Oh, that's Gillies Ave.
That was the Gillies Avenue one.
Yeah.
So apparently that's actually this wall here. I don't know. Can you see my mouse? You can. Yeah. So this wall is actually a concrete wall. So at that time was actually it was you can see there's a bin, not a bin, like a what's it called?
Boxed in section.
The box-in section here. So that's actually because that's actually for the ducting it, right? So and so it's quite tricky because if you come across the concrete one, it's the builder had to be very smart of that, how to do it. And I think with all those all those like connections, they had to actually run another pipe But obviously, that's actually our renovation builder. They know how to do those one. If you come across the concrete one, because it's not as easy as on the
reason,
pile. It's much
yeah,
easier.
the reason that was boxed in was that we couldn't take the ducting from the extractor fan back through the original kitchen because there was a set of stairs in the way. So we had to, for the healthy homes extractor fan, look at an alternative to get that ducting to the exterior of the building, hence the boxed in section there.
Cool. Yeah. Has anyone had any other questions, or if it's you want to see more of those projects or something? Oh, thank you, Neil.
Ian, I actually have a question. I wanted to understand if you can give me a quick summary, the difference between a COA, certificate of acceptance, and a safe and sanitary certificate.
Okay. Up until 2004, you could do what we historically was a safe and sanitary report for old work or work done under the Building Act. But in 2004, the Building Act was revised, and it basically says any work prior to the Building Act, you can do a safe and sanitary report for them. And that's basically saying that, in the opinion of the writer, the work's neither dangerous nor unsanitary in terms of the Building Act. Very, very broad, generic. Of course, the further we get away from 1993, the harder it is to establish the work as to being prior or after the Building Act. But the COA, if work's done without a building consent, you sort of got two options: remove the unconsented work and take it back to what it was, or apply for a certificate of acceptance. So a COA is basically like a reverse engineered building consent. So what you're trying to demonstrate that the work that's subject to the COA, how it complies with the building code today. And of course, if you're doing, I used to do COA work, but Auckland City changed their policy about 3 years ago, and I decided not to go through that, gaining their authority. And I've worked with the guy, Steve Hull, that Lucia. He's a good practical guy. He's Auckland City only has in their system, well, I think the last time I looked under COA authors, they only had 12 accredited companies or individuals. So basically anyone making an inquiry through me, I would suggest them go to a COA author who is aware of what is needed to support the type of work. And the first thing they need to look at is, on your behalf, is it worth spending the money to move forward, or is the work so far away from being compliant, it's not economically practical to go through a COA process? That's the first judgmental call for anything. The second part of that is that, yeah, if the work looks fine, is trying to prove to council how it complies. So if you got plumbing work, council will want a plumber to take ownership of that work and provide a producer statement. Construction, the PS3. Again, a lot of tradesmen are not interested in providing certificates for other people, other tradesmen's works. Some tradesmen might be hesitant in providing you a certificate if they've done the work and you're going back and asking for them that they knew should have had a building consent. So that can be a challenge. Some situations people make honest mistakes, and it's, you know, if it's an honest mistake and you've got that evidence and have that support from your COA author, then it, you know, should be able to be got through the system. Their biggest, you know, tiled showers can be a challenge. Because the council will want a PS3 for the waterproofing. If you're buying, it's hard enough for something that you may have had tradesmen do yourself, but if you buy into something that's unconsented, then it's bloody hard to try and go back to the original tradespeople if anyone even knows who they were. But water tightness is probably one of your bigger things, water getting into building, cladding, that sort of thing. As I say, I haven't done one for 3 years now, so I'm not aware of how they were challenging back when I was doing it. So there's no guarantee in life with a COA. But certainly I wouldn't suggest someone as an owner make an application for a COA on their own behalf. Well, Steve can tell you the story, but he gets a lot of inquiries from people that are started down that process themselves, and it's just got too technically complicated for the owner, and then they've had to come and ask for his help to move it through the system.
Thanks, Ian. So I guess you're saying COA, any work that might have been done after the Building Act, and then there's a safe and sanitary report if it's possibly prior to the
some of the I've got clients who are buying houses, the same owner's been there 40 to 50 years, and you go in and you see it's the avocado coloured sanitary fixtures that are still in there from the 70s and 80s, so it's not something that's new. I like, in those particular cases, if they're buying this old stuff, to have a look at it beforehand, so I can say, hey, yeah, look, it's been there for the last 40 years or so by looking at it. Therefore, I'm happy to say it's we can do a third-party safe and sanitary report. Once we've done that, then you can start refurbishing the fixtures to remarket or re-tenant it. But when someone does all the work and then comes at a later date, it's bloody hard, if there's no photos at least, to convince me, is the work just been refurbishment of real old stuff? And if you don't have the photos or that history, then it's difficult. Some of the more modern stuff, there's little tricks of the trade. Under the Building Act from 93 through, if some of the fixtures have got what they call AAVs on, air admittance valves, then I know the work has been done post 93, because the AAVs weren't required under the old drainage and plumbing regulations. So even if the fixtures are old and it's got these things on, then I know I have to say to the clients, no, it's not. I can't do it as a safe and sanitary report. It is under the Building Act.
Thanks.
Great, yeah. Thank you, Ian. And okay, is it someone saying something or?